With all the government expansion we've seen just so far this year, someone's going to have to pay for it, and guess who? You and me and everybody who pays taxes. Today is the 224th day of 2009, and according to Americans for Tax Reform, working Americans have had to work all year until today, August 12th, to pay the cost of government spending, plus government regulation. 111 days to pay for federal spending. This is all how it boils down. 49 days of state and local spending, 42 days of federal regulations, and 23 days for state and local regulations. Here to score why that number is so high and could even go higher is Grover Norquist. He is president of Americans for Tax Reform. Joins us from inside the Beltway. Grover, thanks for being here.
Glad to be with you.
So when I first heard this figure, I thought, wait a minute, there's a mistake, because I was thinking of Tax Freedom Day, yes, which is sometime in April, right?
Absolutely. People are familiar with Tax Freedom Day. You work the first 4 months of the year, 1/3 of the year, to pay taxes. But that's not the total cost of government.
That's just federal tax.
No, federal, state, and local is 1/3 of national income. Federal is about 20%, state and local another 12%. That's taxes. But when the government's spending over $1 trillion more, the federal government's spending $1 trillion plus more than they take in, the real cost of government is total spending plus the regulatory burden, and that takes you to today.
I see, because of course, and our mistake was the government always spends more than it receives. That's why you shouldn't do the tax number, you should do the spend number, because eventually some Americans are going to have to pay for it.
They'll catch up either with higher taxes or inflation. Now, a year ago, the cost of government day was 26 days ago. It was July 16th. That was pretty bad. We jumped 26 days, almost a full month, cost of government in 1 year.
Wow. Is that all because of federal spending, or primarily because of all the federal spending?
Yeah, it's almost all federal spending, a little bit federal regulatory burden. In the past, state spending had been driving it up or down in the past. This year, it's federal spending that's the real challenge and problem.
Now, I'm with you, Grover, as far as spending is concerned. I understand that that's more important than taxation, and I'm with you in terms of including state and local spending as well. But regulations, how do you assign a day value to regulations, a cost of regulations?
Sure. There have been a number of national efforts to get the total cost of regulations that have been going throughout the year. So this is a consistent number that we've used for almost 20 years, and it gets updated regularly. It is a small c, conservative estimate of the cost of federal and state regulations. The real picture is a little bit worse than what we use.
Now, I'm going to do what I used to do in school. I'm going to count on my fingers. We got January, February, March, April, May, June, July, August. You're talking 8 months of the year we are spending money on government, and it's not until after that we begin to spend money on ourselves?
Yeah, it's become a lot more expensive in the last year. What used to happen was during the Reagan years, cost of government day would move forward a week, 10 days. Then when Bush Sr. took over, we lost that, and we went forward a week, 10 days. Then when the Republicans took control of the House and Senate, cost of government day moved earlier. It became less expensive as a percentage of the economy. When Bush Jr. took over, he spent all of that, and so we got up to July 16th, which was pretty bad, about as bad as it had been in recent history. Then Obama, Reid, and Pelosi come in, and you go to warp speed on spending, and you actually lose an additional month. Now, one thing to keep in mind, this does not count the cost of a government takeover of health care. That's not in there.
Right. No. And cap and trade is not in there, and there's a whole lot of stuff that could make it worse. But I got to ask Grover, we're free market economists, you and I. We believe the power of the market is better than the power of the government to regulate the economy. However, when you get beyond 50%, because 8 months out of the year is way beyond 50% of the government being in charge of the economy, is that the point of no return?
Well, hopefully, if we can say no to additional spending. I think one of the reasons the market's been doing a little bit better over the last couple of months is that people have seen the trouble that the administration and Reid, Pelosi, and Obama are having in moving their agenda, and the damage they plan to do to the energy sector and the health sector is less likely to happen. They may pass something, but it won't be as bad as what they were planning to pass. That gives the economy a little breathing room, but to turn this around, to stop the bleeding, the House of Representatives has to change in 2010.